Okay. If I presented you with this question and I said to expand it, there's two ways you could do it. You could do it the long way, yes? And the long way would be x times x and x times 6, which would get you x squared plus 6x. Then you would do 4 times x and 4 times 6, and you would get 4x plus 24, yes? And then what would your last step be? Collect your like terms. X squared plus 10x plus 24. Yeah? Yeah. Did I give you a shortcut to that particular kind of expansion? What was the shortcut? X squared. Then it was 4 plus 6, x, and then it was 4 times 6. Yes? Now, if I asked you then to reverse expansion, and what is the reverse of expansion? Factoring. So if I asked you to reverse the expansion, you would need to tell me two numbers that multiply to 24 and add to 10, wouldn't you? I told you knew how to do it. So, if you are faced with a trinomial, if your trinomial looks like this, if your trinomial is in this form, x squared, does it have to be an x? No, any letter. This always works. X squared plus bx, so some other number, plus c, another number. If it is in this form, you may factor by going x and then this number and this number have to be, they have to add to b and they have to multiply to c. Everybody cool? So, let's have a look at this. Is this in a form that might work? There's no number out in front there, and it's a trinomial. So if it is going to work, I need two numbers. That's b, that's c. I need two numbers that will do what to c? What do they have to do? They have to multiply to c. So I need two numbers that will multiply to negative 18 and add to what? 7. What are they? So I need factors of 18. What are the factors of 18? We just did this with 12. It's 1 and 18, yes? Do 1 and 18, can I add them in any way to make 7? No. What's the next factor of 18? 2 and 9. Can I make 2 and 9 make 7 in any way? How? Subtraction. So there is my answer. So now I come to here and I know that it's going to be x, because that gets me my x squared. And I know I need one of these guys to be negative, yes? Which one? 9 has to be negative? Which is it, Amrit? You do this all the time. 9 has to be positive, and 2 has to be negative. Why? Because I need positive 9 minus 2 to make positive 7. Everybody cool? Okay, so let's look at the next one. Is that one in a possible form for factoring? Yes, it is. If it's going to work, I need two numbers that will multiply to what? What kind of 8? Negative 8. And two numbers that will add to what? Negative 2. What are they? It's not 1 and 8. It must be 4 and 2, correct? Which one of those has to be positive? Plus 2 minus 4, because 2 minus 4, 2, negative 4 gets me my negative 2. Everybody with me? Now you should have noticed something. That last term is negative, isn't it? That last term is negative, isn't it? What did that do to our numbers in our factors? Those two are both negative, right? When we factored it, we had to have one of each sign, didn't we? So if it happens twice in math, how often does it happen? Always. So don't write this down. You should be thinking this. Okay, if I have x squared plus anything minus anything, as soon as I see that minus, my answer has to be x plus and x minus, doesn't it? Right away, you can do that. I'm halfway through the question without actually knowing any math. Everybody with me? Let's go back to where we were. So let's look at this one. You will notice something. That is positive. So will my answers be plus and minus? They can't be anymore. So I need numbers that will multiply to what? 35. And add to what? Negative 12. What are they? 7 and 5. Now wait a second. They have to be negatives, don't they? Because x minus 5, x minus 7, negative 5 and negative 7 gets me negative 12. That makes me happy. And what do you notice about negative, negative? That will get me my positive right there. So that should tell you another thing. That should tell you this. If it's x squared plus minus anything, and that one's plus, then it's going to be what? Minus, minus. Because I need a positive sign there, right? Now you guys are smart kids. What's the only other choice? X squared plus and plus. Then what's my answer going to be? X plus, X plus. And you can get almost all the way through a question without actually doing any math. Got it? Okay, let's go back to where we were. Oops. There we go. Check this one. It looks like it might factor. Let's check it. I need numbers that will multiply to what? Negative 20 and add to what? 12. What are they? 6 and 2 doesn't multiply to 20. 6 and 2 multiplies to 12. 2 and 10. Okay, that one's negative, right? So it must be A plus A minus, correct? And you say it's 2 and 10. Which is it? Is it plus 10 minus 2? It's plus 2 minus 10? Okay, what's 2 minus 10? 8. I don't need 8, I need 12. Okay, what's 10 minus 2? 10 minus 2 is 12. You should not be a banker. Yeah, he'd be a great accountant if he thinks 10 minus 2 is 12. That's why accountants get a bad rap, because they say things like that to cheat. What's the answer? It can't be negative 8. I need 12. It can't be positive 8. I need 12. So what, Amy? You can't use 2 and 10. So, does this factor? No. It looks like it factors. And on a test, I will watch you guys try to make this work, when really, it won't. Do you understand me? Ekti. I have, but I will do it again. All right. Can you do this? Do you understand how to multiply?
Yeah.
Okay, reverse it. So in this question right here, what would the shortcut be for this question to expand it? You would add them and then multiply them, right?
Yeah.
So reverse it. When you have the answer, you need to find those numbers that will add to the 12 and multiply to the 35. That's it. So in this question, I need numbers that will add to what or multiply to what?
14.
What kind of 14? Negative 14. And I need numbers that will add to what? Negative 5. So what are they? I need the numbers that will multiply to 14. Will 1 and 14 get me to 5 in any way when I add them? No. Will 2 and 7 get me to 5? Yes. How? Negative 2 plus 7, that gets me negative 5. Negative 7 plus 2. So it's y minus 7 and y minus 2. Y minus 7 and y plus 2. Are you good? Yep. Yes. That's it. Now, if I expand this, there's my y squared, which I needed right there, right? There's plus 2y's. There is minus 7y's. 2 minus 7y's gets me the 5 that I needed. And then negative 2 times negative 7 times positive 2 gets me negative 14, which I needed right there. Got it? All right. Now look at F and tell me what's different. That's not different. There's 3 terms in both of them. There's a 4 there. We only know what to do when there's nothing there. But we know how to change the looks of something, don't we? What's the first kind of factor we're supposed to try? GCF. Is there a GCF there? What is it? 4. So I'm going to divide everything by 4. Now here's where you guys are going to screw up. You're going to forget to write this out properly. It's 4x squared minus 5x minus 14. Can you forget about that 4? No. You must remember that 4. Now, that should look very familiar because we just factored it right there, didn't we? So we know how to do that. The point of F is to get you to remember the 4. And this is just x plus 7, x minus 2. Does everybody see the difference between those two? I need this 4 here. Because when I expand that, I'm going to get that. And then when I expand that, I'm going to get that. That's what I was talking about just last lesson. Sometimes you got to go further beyond GCF. Everybody cool? Okay, look at the next one. What's wrong with it? What don't I like about it? You have to GCF because you don't like that 10 there, right? So what is the GCF? 10. So what comes out here? 10. And what stays in? X squared, 8x plus 12. Now you should be looking at that and saying, oh, that might factor. If it's going to factor, I need numbers that will multiply to what? And add to what? 8. What are they? 6 and 2. Can I forget about this 10? 10. And since those are both plus, it must be x plus 6 and x plus 2. Is everybody good? Yeah? Okay. Now, look at H and tell me what's ugly. It's a negative 4. We know how to factor when this is positive, don't we? So what do I got to do to get rid of that negative? I got to divide by 4 and the negative. So what comes out to the front? Negative 4. What stays in? positive t squared. Then what? Which is it? You're doing that thing again. You're just saying both. Which is it? Why is that positive? Because two negatives, right? And what's this one? Negative 32. Now, when I look at that, I should say to myself, self, that might factor. If it will factor, I need numbers that multiply to what? Negative 32, and numbers that add to what? What is it? 8 and 4. Which one? I need positive 4. Is it positive 8 minus 4 or negative 8 plus 4? Positive 8 minus 4, because I need positive. So I rewrite negative 4, and since that's negative, it's t plus, and we know it has to be 8, and t minus 4, because we know 8 minus 4 will get me 4, and 8 times 4 will get me negative 32. Is everybody good with the easy trinomial factoring? This is the easy one. Yes. Don't worry, Ekdeep. You will practice this so much, it will become automatic. I don't even think about these anymore. Now, I'm going to start throwing weird ones at you. What's weird about that?
Oh, they're backwards.
It's written in a different order, yes? Can we change that order, David? Of course we're allowed to change the order, right? So how would I write this so it looks more like something we're comfy with? Ekdeep. Negative d squared I would put the 5d there. Minus 24. Now that looks like something we can deal with, yes? Except what's in front? A negative. So what should we do to make that look like something we can deal with? Divide by negative 1, yeah? So if I pull out a negative, what's that make the inside now? D squared plus 5d plus 24. And it'll all show up in a sec like it always does. So now I look at that and I say to myself, self, if that's going to factor, I need numbers that will multiply to what? And add to what? 5. What are they? 6 and 4 adds to 5. 8 and 5 add. Negative 8 plus 3. That multiplies to positive 24.
Negative 3 and negative 8.
Does it factor?
No. Can't do it.
What if I left it like this? Do you think we could do it? Let's see. Negative 24 minus 5d minus d squared. So it's reversed, right? I still would need numbers that multiply to negative 24 and add to negative 5, wouldn't I? Okay. So what would they be? We've already know it could, the only thing it could be is 8 and 3, yes? So since this has to be negative, if it was negative 8, and that's negative, so it must be plus d, then it would have to be positive 3, right? And that would have to be minus d. Does everyone agree? Does that work? Let's check. What's negative 8 times 3? Negative 24. Oh, maybe it will work. What's negative 8 times negative d? Positive 8d, right? What's d times 3? Positive 3d. Oh, 8 and 3 isn't 5. 8 and 3 is 11. So it doesn't work. Even though, again, it looks like it works. Does everybody understand? All right. Everybody good? So we've seen one that looks like it's going to work but doesn't. Now let's look at the next one. Remember, a lot of math is looking at stuff and saying, what is different here? What doesn't look right? What is different about J? There's a b squared there, right? Well, we know how to handle the v squared. We know the answer is going to be v, don't we? And we know that's negative, so it must be plus and minus, don't we? Well, what must have to go here and here? A b. So the only difference is that b is there, but there is my b squared. So I'm still just looking for numbers that do what? To what? Multiply to 20 and add to what? 19. What are they? 20 and 1, right? I need positive 19. So is it 20 minus 1 or? Right. 20b minus 1b. Do I write 1b? No. And that's that answer. Is everybody cool with that wrinkle? Because you don't write 1. You don't write 1b. It's just b. Of course you can.
He doesn't care.
Everybody cool?
We're cool.
So that means all of you should be able to handle k, right? What's it going to look like? There's going to be an x. That's negative, so it must be plus what? Y. And x minus y. And what numbers go in there? Numbers that do what? Multiply to negative 28 and add to what? 12. What are they? 14 and 2. Which one goes where? Positive 14, negative 2. Picking up what I'm putting down? Reading my mail? Mowing my lawn? I know, you're lazy. You're in summer school now. You should be working.
I work in a mill.
You work in a mill?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
I work swear.
Okay.
I swear.
Okay.
I swear. We be saying
Okay.
he's not believing.
What's weird about L? You know what to do when it's squared, nothing, and squared, right? So I have to make this look like something I can deal with. What changes the way it looks? What? You don't like that b cubed. You don't like that b squared. And you don't like that b. Right. So I'm going to divide by b. Because I should always try to GCF, shouldn't I? So if I'm going to divide by b, what do I have to do with that b? It has to go outside. And then what do I get? A squared minus ab minus 20b squared. Now, do I know how to factor that? Of course I do. B. What's the first one going to be? It's going to be A. A. That's negative, so it must be plus and minus. And then what do I need here? I need a B. And now I just need to find the numbers. And what do those numbers have to do? Multiply to negative 20 and add to what kind of 1? Negative 1. What are they? No, 1 and 20 will not make negative 1. So it's not 1 and 20. Is it 2 and 10? No, 2 and 10 will never make 1. Is it 4 and 5? Yes. Which one? Positive 5 minus 4 or positive 4 minus 5? Positive 4, negative 5. Because 4 minus 5 gets me negative 1. Is everybody cool with that? Now, back to business. M. What is different about M? It's got an x to the fourth. Now you guys are smart kids. When it was x squared, it was x and x, right? Okay, so what must this one be? No. X squared times x squared. Is x squared times x squared x to the fourth? Yes. And then do you think anything changes? No. I need numbers that multiply to what? 50 and add to what? Negative 15. What are they? 10 and 5. Since that's positive, they both have to be the same sign, right? But that one's negative, so it must be minus, minus, and 10 and 5. Not 50. 5. Now, 1 second, Brooklyn. I got to say one thing because kids always screw this up. Some of you will look at that and say, well, Mr. Myers, I wrote it this way. Is that okay? Yes, it's the same answer because 5 times 2 is 10 and 2 times 5 is 10. Everybody with me? Okay. Now, Brooklyn, sorry.
Can you explain the rules for like
Oh, yes. If this is positive, then you know the multiplying has to be the same sign. Has to be, because you can't multiply to a positive unless they're the same sign. If that's negative, then they both must be negative because they have to add together. And if you add two negatives, you get more negative. If that's positive, then you need two positives. If this is negative, then it's plus and minus, and this could be either. Okay? This tells you whether they're the same or different, and this tells you if they're the same, it's the same as that. If they're different, it's one of each. Okay? Now again, you don't want to get too hung up on that, right? Because that gets you locked into this looks like I can do it, so I'm going to make it work, right? That's just to help you. So let's look at 9 and 9. There's a 9 right there. Let's look at it. Yep, still there. Let's look at n. What is different? There's a 0 in the middle of it. Now, there's a reason that 0 is there. Would we ever write 0x? No. How would we really write this? It should be x squared minus 9, shouldn't it? But there's a reason for this. I'm doing something on purpose here. So work with me. This won't erase because my computer's frozen, so I'm saving the world. But I need two numbers that will multiply to what and add to what here? It has to multiply to what? Negative 9. It has to multiply to negative 9 and add to what? No. 0. What are they? X and X. Now, Brooklyn, is that a negative? So I must need plus and minus. Now I need what numbers that will multiply to 9 and add to 0? It's got to be 3 and 3. Everybody cool? Okay, so what's this one going to be? X and X. Now you should notice something. What do you notice about 9 and 3? Square root. So what do you think goes here? Right. Minus 25 plus 25. What about this one? X plus 4. X plus 4. 4 times 4 is 16. 4 plus 4 is 8. Is everybody Gouda? Ekti.
So it's like we have this square root thing. You don't have to do anything, you just put it in.
That's what, I don't want to say that right now. I want you to notice that right now. What did you just notice, Ekdeep? If that's squared and that is squared, it's just root and root. If that is a square and that is a square, it's just root and root. But notice what happened here. Square, square, but what's different about that? The other ones were zeros. That one's an 8. So I had to have the same sign, not different signs. Picking up what I'm putting down? Reading my mail? Mowing my lawn? Smelling what I'm stepping in? Okay. Do the next. I just got to make sure of something. This unit gets a little weird. You are on page 131, yes?
Yeah.
You can do 131, which goes up to number 12. So let me make sure you can do 132 as well. Sim salabim. Yes, you can do 131 and 132, please. And break is when? 10:30. Perfect. Break is 10:30. You guys can work for a half hour on 131 and 132. Should it take a half an hour? No, it shouldn't. We should be able to go over it in about 20 minutes, right? I have an answer. If you want to study your radicals, go ahead. I don't care. It's totally up to you. This is your work time. But I expect you to be able to factor. If you're going to not use your time in class with me to factor, when I give you a quiz on this, which will be when? Monday, because tomorrow's Saturday. Right? On Monday, when I give you a quiz on GCF and this kind of factoring, if you do badly on it, whose fault is it? There you go. No. This move is fun too, Gurmak. Listen, wait. Oh!
Oh, yeah, he did it.
Ah! No, I'm going like this. That's another one I pulled on my kids. Guys, watch what I can do with my nose. Oh! And they're like, oh my God, Dad! And they still fall for it. After I did the ear thing, and after I did this thing, and after I did this thing, oh. Well, I'm going to open my mouth, see if you hear the noise. See, there's nothing. You got a hit. Well, it probably won't work on you because you have a turban.
Yeah.
Is that one called a turban? I've been meaning to ask.
Yeah.
It is still, even though it's not the same as the big one?
It's called a patka.
I can't say that word. You'll laugh at me. No, you will laugh at me. Even if I say it properly, you will still laugh at me.
What? Patka. Say it.
Putka.
Yeah. Patka.
See, he laughed at me.
I didn't laugh with God.
Uh-huh. Now, I have another question, and I ask this every year, but nobody gives me a good answer. Why do some dudes that wear the turbans, the real ones, like the full-size one, you know what I mean, right?
Yeah.
Why do some of them get a cool-ass color like pink or purple or orange? And some people just have black or white or...
I just wear black.
But it's a total choice, right? It doesn't mean anything. It's not like a black or a yellow belt in karate or something, is it? What? Honestly, no, I'm trying to find out. I want to learn. You can wear any color you want. Yeah? Can you change it like you change shirts?
Yeah.
Like, could I wake up in the morning and say, I feel like wearing my purple turban?
Yeah. You can match it with the color.
That's allowed? Like, I could just change it?
Yeah. You have a multicolored one.
Shut up! Like a tie-dye turban?
Yeah. You don't have to wear a helmet on a motorcycle.
I know you don't have to wear a helmet on a motorcycle. I know that.
That's so sick.
Why is that a thing though?
Because you can't get a helmet over the turban.
That's why that thing's like 3 layers. Nothing's gonna happen.
If you ride at a normal pace, you might be okay. But since most people don't ride at a normal pace, but I don't think you should have to wear a helmet at all. It should be your choice. I shouldn't have to wear a helmet if I don't want to.
Do you want it?
Huh? Of course I want to wear my helmet because I do not want to die. I don't mind breaking my body. My brain is all that matters. If you end up paralyzed, already science has figured out how to repair the spine of frogs. They can cut a frog's spine and fix it so the frog can move again. Which means we are not that far from being able to fix humans. So I don't care if I break my neck. But I do, there's no way to fix a mashed brain. No way.
No question. Do you ride with shorts?
No, never. Almost never. Sometimes you have to. What I've never ridden in is flip-flops.
Do you ever get scared when you ride in shorts?
No,
Oh, your skin's gonna.
because I try not to ride anywhere where that might mess me up. When I was in Victoria,